talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants. So Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
I think that we just got to continue to be better on early downs, man. We got to continue to be better on first down, and then second down we have to be better. Like right now, a lot of teams you see they get to second and long, they get to their third down game plan. Well, against us, they're going quick game, or they're even running the ball to really try to keep, or going tempo to try to keep us out of our third down package. So I think that we just got to continue to find different ways and different personnel groups to get pressure, and I think that we'll be able to do that. I'm excited about this week, what we've already done as a staff, and what we'll be able to present coming out of the bye week. But we definitely have to, get more sacks and get to the quarterback and affect the quarterback more. I think when we do that, we're tough to score against.
Zach, we look at that
Sure, that I don't disagree. They just the thing is they don't do that much at all. They've had 8 this year.
It's 8 more than you.
That's true.
So who are you to
The
talk?
Denver Broncos have had 30.
Really?
Now, to be fair, I don't think anybody else has more than 20, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Double check that. What the Broncos are doing is badass insane and good, because their offense is about as consistent as my performance.
Steelers and Seahawks have 20. Broncos have 30.
Yeah, my performance on like Wordle. That's not true. I always get Wordle. It's just that a lot of
you?
fives
I don't know.
and sixes. I haven't played in a little while either. It's been a while. Got a lot going on these days.
Should we do that on the show today?
No, we definitely should not. Good morning, Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. And it's a Wednesday. It's a Would You Rather Wednesday. I'll get him up momentarily. No Drew today, which is a real shame. We'll have to settle for Rod Woodson joining us. Which is a real step back. Drew.
Is there a thing between Rod and Drew? Is that why
Drew didn't come in?
That's what I'm curious about.
I
wouldn't have booked Rod then if I knew
wouldn't
it was at the cost of losing.
Yeah,
Drew.
I wouldn't blame.
I thought they were exclusive.
Rod, if that's
mutually
the case.
exclusive.
Also, we missed him yesterday, but Mike Sando of The Athletic scheduled to join us today to tell us why the Ravens might be worse than you think, which is fun. So yeah, that's going on, and we'll get Would You Rather Wednesday up momentarily at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter and Blue Sky and Facebook. And it's a Ravens bye week themed Would You Rather Wednesday, so all Ravens-related topics for Would You Rather Wednesday today, and another Flock Yeah T-shirt to give away. It's coming. This is the new print issue of PressBox. It will be available. I'm not even running the new promo just quite yet, but it will be available starting today and throughout the rest of the week, wherever you find PressBox. And the funny thing is, there's new places where we find PressBox. Are we telling people yet? Yes. Okay. Baltimore area High's Dairy Stores.
Ooh.
You know them. You get your ice cream there. Maybe you get your gas there. Whatever it is that you get there. A lot of us has gotten. You know how much chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream the Clark family purchased when I was a young man from High's Dairy Stores?
Huh.
Oh, buddy. We I don't know who the founder of the Highs is. I don't know if it's Steve High, but if it's Dr. High,
Mr. Highs.
we funded his kids' college.
Wow.
Because of all of the chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. Like it might explain some of the health issues that I had in my life. 8-year-old Glenn Clark my mother would like stop by to get some milk on the way home, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I know what's about to happen." I'd say, "Mom, aren't we running low on chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream.
His name was L.W. High.
How about that? And sure enough, we'd wander out with at least a couple of pints. There was never a shortage of chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream in the Clark household when I was a kid. Now, not the case. That's the shame for my kids. Actually, that's probably not true. I think my wife keeps mint chocolate chip ice cream at the household.
At all times?
I'm pretty sure that's the case.
It's fortunate.
But the point is, you can now go to your Baltimore area High's store and find this print issue of PressBox. Great cover story from Don Marcus about new Maryland Athletic Director Jim Smith, his path, what he brings to the job itself. Also a lot of college hoops content in there. A nice story on Tylen Wallace from Bo Smolka. A story on Dylan Beavers from Brandon Schwartzberg. Good stuff inside this new print issue of PressBox. And again, it's a slow rollout. Starts today, will be coming the next couple days. And as always, you can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. So, yeah, that's what Zach Orr had to say. Again, presuming, based on the fact that it's Wednesday and they haven't made any changes, and the Ravens are not going to be making any changes, and the two assistants that seem to be most, I don't know, at risk.
Scrutinized?
Yeah, scrutinized would be Zach Orr and offensive line coach George Warhop. They both spoke to the media yesterday, so again, you got to assume that means they're going to be in those roles moving forward. Now, I had a couple people say, does that mean it's impossible the Ravens couldn't make a change later? Not at all. As, of course, remember, Cam Cameron was fired in December.
Week 10, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess,
I think
later?
it was early December, maybe late November. I'm pretty sure it was early December, if not mid-December, when Cam Cameron was fired in 2012 before them going on to win Super Bowl 47. So, obviously, it can happen at some point. I think
December 10th.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I always remember my buddy Jason Cole, who I think was at Yahoo at the time.
So that was following week 14.
He showed up that week and nearly got into a fight with John Harbaugh because he asked the question. He described it as this would come off the most as you dancing around the edge of chaos, the idea of firing your coordinator. And I think it was a fair question, and I think it's a fair point, right? Like, firing a coordinator in week 14 is really aggressive, but ultimately we know how it played out, and so
maybe it's the winning strategy.
Maybe you should dance around chaos more frequently. But to the point, no, of course it could happen later. I think the difference would be if this doesn't get fixed in the next few weeks, that almost becomes to what's the point? Like, what's the point of firing a coordinator if you're sitting at 1-8? Like, okay, I guess you could do it.
You have to go 8-0 the rest of the way.
Yeah,
so
you could do it, but for what reason? Like, that's the point of doing it seems to be that you would believe that someone else might have a better chance of getting something more from the group that you have. But if you lose 3 more games, it's kind of irrelevant. Yes, the bye week is always the ideal time to make a move like this. And so presumably, if it was going to come from above, which I think a lot of people wondered, is there going to be a point where Steve Bisciotti stepped in and said, this isn't okay. I know you don't want to, but I'm telling you you're going to. If that was the case, you would want to do it around the bye, obviously. But is there some scenario maybe the Ravens win their next 3 games just because they score a ton of points, the defense is still not good, and that gets revisited a month from now? Yeah, that's possible. This seemed like the ideal time to do it, and the fact that you're not doing it now would make you believe that you're just riding this out and you're going to hope for the best. So, yeah, we heard from Zach Orr. You mentioned, or we just heard what he had to say about their need to get some sacks. That's not all he had to say. He had some other things to say. Some of you think that the Ravens defense was better. Certainly the total number of points was better in what they gave up against the Rams on Sunday. You know my opinion is not quite as rosy as some others, but what did he take away from what I guess, at least in terms of that, seemed to be a step forward defensively for the Baltimore Ravens, and what could it mean moving forward? Here's what he had to say about that.
Defensive showing.
It was a step in the right direction. I told the guys that I thought that was the most intensity that we played with, and we started fast, and that's what we were looking for, man. We got to get back to playing, pissed off and with an edge, and I felt like that was the first game this season that we truly carried that over from the start of the game throughout the finish, and it was about 4 or 5 plays right in that second half that we felt like we let the game get away from us from a defensive standpoint. We thought we played really well besides those 4 or 5 plays, and ultimately that's what cost us. So that's what we're chasing right now, just those small little details. We know how close we are. Our guys are encouraged about getting better in this bye week. We just had a real good practice. We'll have a good practice tomorrow, and then coming back after the bye is really time to roll and continue to build on that.
Okay. I remain not nearly as convinced as you all do, or you all are, that the Ravens were much better defensively on Sunday. I think it was much more circumstantial, and I think there was a great deal of good fortune involved in the Ravens only giving up 17 points. And if John Jenkins is going to become a defensive tackle who can make major plays in every game,
He's loading on it now.
Yeah, that will change a lot of things. It would change some of my opinion about where they are defensively, but I don't think that's I don't expect that. I just don't expect that. I do think they were healthier, and I think that helped it from being an unmitigated disaster the way that it was against the Texans when nobody was healthy. I do think it helped to have Marlon Humphrey back on the field. I definitely think it helped to have Kyle Hamilton, their best defensive player, back out on the field. Those things matter. But I didn't see a difference-making defense, or a defense that I'm even confident, if the game had been close at the end and they had needed a stop, could make that stop. I just don't know where the play coming from.
They did stop the 4th and 3 in the fourth quarter when the Rams were decided to go for it instead of kicking that field goal.
They did stop that play. You're right. They did stop one.
I mean, this is what we talked about. It is. I think it is encouraging, as marginal as it is. It is encouraging because they're against the Texans, before that. I mean, they against the Chiefs. It was like they weren't doing anything well. It was now maybe you try to focus on one thing. You get a stop on 3rd and 4th down. Get a stop in the red zone, and maybe that's what they might be able to do now. Is they might be able to force more field goals instead of allowing teams into the end zone. I think that is an encouraging piece. Roquan Smith will come back, and that will help the overall communication of the defense.
100%. I think they're going to be what we saw against Houston was unmitigated. What we saw for stretches against Kansas City was unmitigated. But I'm not sold that they're going to be much better than what we saw against Detroit or against Buffalo, where they had their pieces and they just still weren't there, because ultimately, to me, that comes down to one thing. Can you speed up a quarterback? Can you force a quarterback to do something dumb? And whatever the progress, and I've given you the numbers from Next Gen Stats as to why when people think, well, I do think they did not pressure Matt Stafford at all. The numbers back it up. Go look at Next Gen Stats. The edge rushers did nothing.
He's getting the ball out pretty quick, I think.
He got the ball out quick. In part because he's Matt Stafford.
Well,
because what do you not want Matt Stafford to be doing?
Sitting in the pocket.
Yes. Now, if you have a quarterback like Caleb Williams, you might let that guy move a little bit more and not force him to get the ball out as quick. Because, he has a bit more athleticism. Maybe athleticism, a bit more escapability than Matt Stafford does. To the point, it would probably be a little bit different against their Aaron Rodgers still has a little bit more escapability than even at, 41?
Yeah.
Even at 41, he probably still has a little bit more than Matt Stafford.
I think he's 40, actually.
Isn't he? Because
I saw the
story
the
is
combined
Flacco's 40 and he's 41. I think.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Combined
Okay,
81.
you're right. So
Yeah.
I think I was flipping it.
I think it's the first 40 on 40 matchup since
Yeah.
Brady and Breeze in 2000. 2020. Sorry, not 2000. Yeah, 2020, obviously.
Well, and what will help is if the offense doesn't turn the ball over
I don't,
in their own territory.
I think there's other circumstances that can allow for the Ravens to be better in general. In general, I think can allow for the Ravens to be better. But for the defense to be high level, the thing that we thought they had the chance of being based on how they played in the second half of last season had to involve pressure. That part, telling me, well, the secondary will be better with Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, all those guys together. Yes, and I think it was. That things are better if you get Roquan Smith on the field, for the most part, yes. But until you show me how they're getting after quarterbacks, I'm still not sold that they can be a championship-level defense. Even if I'm putting more of the burden on the offense than I am putting on the defense. I think it requires that. I don't think there's a way to have that caliber of defense that doesn't involve high-level pressure.
How much of it is, just truthful what they're saying, where it is all connected, where the back end gets better and that helps you up front, and the offense starts playing better, and you start playing with leads, and that allows you to get after the quarterback.
Right?
To get after the quarterback more.
Did that happen against the Bills?
No.
No.
But that's also Josh Allen. But yes, you're right.
I mean,
but
to be fair, you're right. Like, I'm not saying it's it's nothing. There's something to that if you can start doing that. Now, again, their ability to play bully ball reflects on the ability of the offensive line. Like, it's all more complicated. I come back to one glaring thing. They don't get after quarterbacks, period. They don't get them. There's no reason for me to think they will. I can't believe it. If they had lost that game on Sunday and given up 17 points and Mike Green had 5 pressures, a quarterback, like something like that, I'd be in way more of a position to say, okay, maybe things are changing. Maybe there's something here. And I do think that Kyle Van Noy can get better. I mean, I don't think he's getting younger, but
an old dog can learn new tricks.
I think that some of it might be coming back from the injury, sort of getting himself reacclimated. I do think he can be more impactful than he's been, which has been, frankly, nothing, right? But it has to come from, I feel like Rage Against the Machine. It has to start someplace. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now? And until I see it, I can't just go along with like, well, the results weren't all that bad, so I don't know, maybe that's progress. This is still a giant black hole. Nothing. Nothing. And in fact, the numbers say worse than even the unmitigated disasters, where they at least like recorded at least one pressure. 0. Not a pressure from an edge rusher. That's my issue. And until I see it, I just don't know that they're going to be capable of overcoming it. Can it change? Of course it can change. Sometimes it takes players that enter into the NFL a little while to get going. And if we judge every player by where they were 6 weeks into their career, then there's guys in the Hall of Fame that would have never made it. Mike Green might still prove to be that guy this season. It remains, to me, the biggest X factor facing the. If you said, what is the biggest X factor for the Ravens and their ability to do this, I would continue to tell you until they bring in somebody else. Mike Green. I know everybody's talking about, what's his face, Jermaine Johnson of the Jets now being the hot name on the trade market in the edge department. And I'm like, 2 years ago he was really good. Then last year he didn't really play, and this year he hasn't done anything. And yet the Jets are saying, well, you have to pay us a lot in order to get him. Like, in fairness, that's the way this works. There's only so many guys that become available. Jalen Phillips is doing nothing and is a hot name at the deadline because you can only get the guys that are available. But until they get one of those guys, everything to me falls on Mike Green and the way they use Mike Green and trying to have him end up being a higher level edge rusher. George Warhop also spoke yesterday. who appears as though he's going to remain Ravens offensive line coach despite their struggles. I, like many of you, believe that perhaps a change could be necessary for either or both Daniel Fa'alele, Andrew Voorhees, although I acknowledge Andrew Voorhees played better on Sunday as they committed to more zone blocking. So that, if you want me to give you a progress, that to me might be the moment. Now, one game does not define a player. And you don't get to say 3 weeks from now, you got to keep sticking with Voorhees, because remember, he had that one game against the Rams where he was pretty good.
Not even.
He was Voorhees?
Oh, Voorhees,
Yeah.
Voorhees.
Not Fa'alele. I said Voorhees.
Okay.
Yeah, Voorhees was pretty good. But George Warhop was asked about that. Of course, John Harbaugh mentioned in his press conference this week they could absolutely consider making some O-line changes. George Warhop was asked what he's seen from those two guys.
I think those guys every week get better. Every week. I thought they both really last week had pretty solid games. I would say, maybe the Houston game wasn't one of their best games. But other than that, I really don't have a lot of negative to say about those two guys. I mean, every week, if you watch them play, they get better, right? And there's been some challenging fronts we've had to deal with. I think Houston is really good. I think Cleveland's really good overall. And those are our average games as a unit, dealing with those two fronts.
Now, a couple of things there. One, George Warhop, the offensive line coach, would not be the person. You're not going to be the one to order the code red. He's not going to be the one to say, yeah, we got to get those guys out of there. That's not going to happen. So you do have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt.
You say, I don't know who their coach is, but he's
right. No, but he's really not going to be the one to say, "Guy, I think we need to make a change there." That's not the offensive line coach's job is to coach the offensive lineman. Now, he might have an opinion that he shares with John Harbaugh, where he says, or Todd Monken, and says, I think we might be wise to give Bullock a few more snaps. That's an opinion he might have, but he shares that with Todd Monken and with John Harbaugh, not with the media. That's just not the role of the offensive line coach. It's kind of a little bit of a weird thing when it comes to having these conversations with assistant coaches or even coordinators. Is like, you're not going to say something that the head coach wouldn't say. So you normally get platitudes more than you get anything else from those coaches. It is a tough spot because, I don't believe I say this all the time. I don't believe the Ravens are purposely holding back. We all go back to 2012, and we all think about how everything changed. They made an offensive coordinator change, and then maybe the more significant thing that they did was moving Michael Orr back to right tackle and playing Bryant McKinney, and how dramatically better the offense seemed to get the moment they did that.
When did they make that change?
That was, I think, the exact same time frame.
Like
it was
14-ish?
December. They were mired in a 3-game losing streak. They had gotten their asses handed to them by the Broncos. And I think they might have made both changes the same week. I got to remember. But they go back to Bryant McKinnon and everything changes. So you can say, hey, well, there's proof of a time where they were keeping a better option off the field. They've had Ben Cleveland in this system for a long time. Every time we do this, we're like, I don't know why they won't give Ben Cleveland a chance. It is very difficult for me to believe. And if the answer was, well, he's just in the doghouse, the way that some of us wanted to believe that was the answer, they re-signed him. They chose to bring him back. I just don't think they're doing this to spite themselves, where they just know that Ben Cleveland would be better than Daniel Fa'alele, but they refuse to play him. Now, as I've said before, are we at the point where you just try anything else because this isn't working? I think we might be at that point. But I do understand it's not as easy as we make it out to be. It's very rare that that Bryant McKinney type of thing happens. And I do think was a complicated situation with Brian McKinney and where he was fitness-wise and where he was, going into that season and why he might not have started. And I think at the beginning of the year, Michael Orr was playing fairly well at left tackle, and that was appealing to them, the idea of Michael Orr perhaps being their franchise left tackle that they were looking for post Ronnie Stanley, and they had spent a first-round pick to draft him. It's just that Michael Orr wasn't a left tackle. Kind of plain and simple. And so they made the move they made, and it proved to be a quite wise one. I think that they should be at the point where they should be making a change for the sake of making a change, but I understand why that's not easy for them to do. And I certainly know why George Warhop's not going to come out and be like, yeah, these guys, I don't know, man. I don't think we can win with them. It's just not what you're going to get from an offensive line coach when you give them the opportunity to meet with the media. So that's kind of that. That's the last we're going to hear from the Ravens this week. I think they're practicing one more time today, and then they're going to go their separate ways for the weekend, and the players are going to have a little off time, and we will see if there are any more changes that will be made. Typically, you don't see trades at this point in the week. The other news related to the Ravens yesterday was that, I'm very sad about the departure of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Ravens legend. Will forever be in our hearts. I think they'll do a nice tribute video.
You think so?
Right? Like if
Maybe not the immediate week after.
If he were to be signed by the Bears.
Oh, yeah.
You would think that they'd put together
You'd get a rousing standing
The funny
ovation.
part about, so if you saw it yesterday, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, essentially the word was they had an agreement with the Ravens, and they feel as though that agreement was kind of altered by the fact that they traded for Alohi Gilman. And that's probably fair, right? Like that. As this was what was said by Adam Schefter yesterday. Ravens are releasing safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson after the safety's agent Kevin Connor and Ravens officials came to a, quote, an amicable mutual decision, unquote, per Connor. Quote, after the Ravens traded for a safety, we were looking for a clearer path to play, unquote, Connor added. And, that makes some sense. Yeah, I'll sign to the practice squad because clearly there's a path forward for me. But the moment they go out and get Alohi Gilman and now Kyle Hamilton's back on the field, the question becomes, am I going to get the play? The irony is, you may remember last week, Sam Jane of the Baltimore Sun tweeted that he had spoken to C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the locker room, or Chauncey, I guess he's going by now. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, this is the quote from Sam Jane. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson told me he signed with the Ravens because it was his, quote, only option, unquote. So I can see where their camp is coming from, but don't you have to have other options for there to be a better option? And I get it. Maybe
the other option is
another
sitting
team
on his couch, and that's better.
That's true. That might be another option.
That might be better.
Or there might be a team that had a safety get hurt this weekend that I don't know about that said, "Hey, we'd be interested." I don't know, and the Ravens certainly can say, "Hey, man, it's just not worth this headache to keep the dude around. If you're unhappy here, by all means, go on with your life. Be good, do good things, enjoy. We're not going to keep a mercurial dude around just because we can." And the other,
but what if they could get I
guess the other ironic part is
they kept
he was on the practice squad, so anybody could sign him off the practice squad.
So he just didn't want to be.
He didn't really have to get released. Anybody could sign him unless he just wants to sign to another team's practice squad, which is probably the most likely option for him at this point. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. You can't get me to get worked up about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson doing the old Abe Simpson thing, walking in and then walking immediately back out. I can't get me to. I try to think if there are any shorter. If I remember correctly, at one point they signed a receiver named Drew Bennett, and he retired the next day.
He wanted to retire a Raven.
If I remember that correct. I mean, it was quick. If it wasn't the next day, I don't think he ever practiced. A veteran receiver named Drew Bennett. I do remember the very funny story. Drew Bennett's agent had reached out to me.
2009.
Do you remember, was there a time frame there?
Bennett signed with the Baltimore Ravens on July 24th, 2009, a 1-year, $750,000 contract. He retired on July 26th,
So
2
2
days
days.
later. Due to a flare-up of a previous knee condition is what's cited.
So
here.
that's what we got to figure out. Is there is a shorter tenure
Than 2 days.
than 2 days for Drew Bennett? Who was the receiver they signed and then backed out on because somebody else? Ryan Grant.
Oh, yeah, Ryan Grant.
Ryan Grant they signed and then they backed out on it because
Somebody else.
Crabtree maybe became, or Mike
guess.
Wallace, one of those guys became available. And so they said we'd rather have that guy, and so they backed out of the deal that they agreed to with Ryan Grant. But I feel like that might have been a few days, not just 2, and obviously they never actually signed him.
So he was with Washington in 17. And then on March 13th, 2018, so this was early in free agency, the Ravens announced their intention to sign Grant to a 4-year, $29 million contract. However, he failed his physical the next day, and the deal was voided, so he remained a free agent. So was that all it was? He just failed the physical?
All right, so that was only 1 day then?
Yeah.
What day was the deal was voided the next day?
Yeah. Ravens agree.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, no C.J. Gardner-Johnson is the answer. We'll come back in. We'll talk to Mike Sando about where the Ravens are, the Athletic NFL writer. Today's show brought to you by the Maryland 5-Star. It starts tomorrow at Fair Hill in Cecil County. Get up to the Maryland 5-Star, Maryland 5-Star with a number 5.us for your tickets. An amazing event, world-class sporting event, amazing celebration of the fall in Maryland. Maryland 5-Star starts tomorrow. Glenn Clark Radio.
Game day hits different with Live Casino's Big Plays, Big Pays hot seats. Head to Sports and Social on select Sundays and Mondays in October. We'll draw 10 hot seat winners every hour. When the home team scores, we'll double the prize pool. Plus, we'll give away $50 Sports and Social gift cards with every touchdown. Watch and win at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs in the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website CostasInn.com for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Looking for Baltimore's premier waterfront dining experience? Head to Nick's Fish House, located in the Baltimore Peninsula. Enjoy crabs all year long, plus happy hour Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. Planning a celebration? From rehearsal dinners to corporate crab feasts, Nick's is the spot to make it unforgettable. And the fun doesn't stop there. Live music fills the air every Thursday through Sunday. Check out the full lineup at nicksfishhouse.com. Nick's, it's where Baltimore comes to eat, drink, and play by the water.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR. Don't forget everything you need to know about high school sports, and we're getting closer to playoff season in fall sports here in the state of Maryland. You can find by going to countysports.zone. That's countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Can the Ravens fix this? Let's see what Rod Woodson thinks. Of course, the Hall of Famer, part of the Ravens broadcast team, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Rod, it's Glenn. It's always great to catch up with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I don't know, Rod. I'm in a weird place. They're 1-5. Things have been a mess, but you get Lamar Jackson back, and nobody in the AFC appears to be that great at the moment. Like, I certainly can't write them off for getting this thing figured out.
No, I mean, you look at where they're at. Obviously, hasn't played the way that they wanted to throughout this early part of the season, right? Being 1-5, but you got to. They lost to Buffalo, they lost to Detroit, they lost to Kansas City. You know, three of the teams that were really good last year. Obviously, didn't play the way I thought they would play against Houston, and they played better against the Rams, even though they didn't get the victory. Defensively, they played a lot better against those guys. And then you got to think, if there is a silver lining, that has to come in with the fact that they got the 8th easiest schedule in the National Football League.
Yep.
And, you know, they come back out. You come back up to play Chicago. You got the Bears. I think after that you got Miami.
Yeah.
Then you have Minnesota after that,
there,
which is a pretty good team. But you got Cleveland, New York, Cincinnati, and then your remaining schedule is not real tough. The key is, can they play the way they played defensively last week the rest of the year? Where making it tough throw, making it hard on the offense, not giving up a lot of points. Obviously, it could have been a lot different if we score a touchdown when you're first and goal on the 2-yard line, right? That would have made it a different game. But with that being said, I think with Lamar being back, they're going to score points against every defense that they're going to play against. It's just, can this defense, can it be like they were the second half of the year now? From last year, can they get that 3-man rotation? And they know they don't have Matabike, and that does hurt. But getting everybody else back, so you got to figure out a way how to get pressure up the middle of the field. So you got to figure out some blitzes that you can get from the middle of the field consistently to help your edge rushers, so they can't just always chip those guys. So I think if they can do that, I think they can put a 9-game win streak here somewhere along the line.
Rod, you bring up the defense being better. A lot of people have talked about that, and it's certainly giving up 17 points is progress in comparison to some of what we had seen. I'm not quite as maybe optimistic as some people are, because I do think the Rams left some stuff on the board. We know Matt Stafford missed some wide open receivers in the end zone early, and they decided not to kick a field goal late. Like, I do think that number would be different, but what really concerns me, Rod, is there wasn't a single pressure from an edge rusher, from an outside linebacker on Sunday, and they weren't even close to Matt Stafford at any point. And I get that Stafford gets the ball out a little bit quicker, but that's the part that I still just find myself saying, I don't know how this gets better, again, short of just these players getting better, and I'm very concerned about what that might mean for this defense, because this group of edge rushers just has been completely non-impactful this season.
Well, non-impactful because you don't have anybody in the middle of the field. Also, I think, when you look at, when you look at the bigger picture, so they normally, when you talk about the Ravens in the last several years, they were never a real big blitz team anyway. We didn't blitz a whole bunch, but we still got pressure on the quarterback because we had edge rushers. And one of the question marks coming into the year was the depth at edge rusher. I know we got Mike Green, and he's a young guy. Van Noy's there. But when you lose Matabike from the middle, Matabike helped so much because they couldn't always chip because they had to try to make sure they can slow him down in the middle. And I believe there is a way that the coaching staff can still get pressure, and they're going to have to get out of their norm. And their norm is not to bring a lot of pressure consistently. And I'm talking about 5-man pressure. And you can bring 5-man pressure without playing single high safety. And that's normally when we do bring a 5-man pressure, we are in single high. That's like it's almost like 68% of the time. You can run cover 2 pressures. You can run a cover 4 pressure. You can run different type of roll pressures that don't put everybody in harm's way, and you're sitting back with kind of a match-like mentality once they release and run their routes. You can do that. So hopefully, Chuck Pagano is still feeding into Zach Orr because Chuck took the place of Dean Pease. And Dean Pease did a great job last year of game planning, helping game plan with Zach Orr and what they're going to call in certain games and how they're going to play and where they're going to play their players at. That's why they played so well at the end of the year. And so you got to hope that, in this bye week, they're looking at, and most teams do, look at what you've done well and what you haven't, and try to put what they've done well more so in the forefront for the rest of the year than the way they've played with a single high look and the zero pressures because it wasn't working. So I think they would have to rethink those type of situations, those type of defenses moving forward.
He is Rod Woodson, the Hall of Famer. He's with us here on GCR. Rod, with that said, I'll present an opinion to you, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. The opinion would be that this hasn't worked with Zach Orr being the one calling the plays, and so shouldn't you let someone else have that opportunity to call the plays moving forward? The Ravens aren't doing that. John Harbaugh's standing by Zach Orr. Does that to you make sense? Is that the best way to go about trying to solve this problem?
Okay, so last year they struggled defensively. I mean, Zach Orr is a defensive coordinator, but collectively there's way more coaches than there's Zach Orr on the defense, right? So collectively, do you not go into a room and talk about what you're going to play and how you're going to play things, how you're going to game plan, what you're going to be your calls? Zach is making those calls game day, yes. But every defense that Zach calls is not going to be a perfect play. The players still got to make the plays come alive, right? My point to what I'm making is that when Dean Pease came, didn't Zach Orr look way better?
It's true. It's true.
So my point is collectively, and I'm going to put more onus on Chuck Pagano because Chuck is the oldest guy in the room and he's the most tenured coach on the defensive side, that he and the rest of the staff should be meeting with Zach, game planning, and whatever is working, making sure that they can get more of those type of calls. But then all the stuff that worked last year in the second half of the year, some of those we call Reno blitzes, cover 2 looks, things of that nature, tight dogs, gold coverages, stuff of that nature that we did when I was around that they had success with last year. They have not ran that one time this year. So to me, collectively, I think John should make sure that they're doing what they do best, what they did. They should go back and look at what they did really well the second half of the year and continue to do that. But they got to do it without Matabike, right? So you don't have him. So do you mug your linebackers in the gaps, in the A gaps, the B gaps, to make sure you can try to get some type of pressure from the middle of the field? Do you run more cross dogs, which is the linebackers crossing over the center or the guards, trying to find disruption from the middle of the field to try to kick those quarterbacks out of the pocket? You got to think about all those things. So it's not, I don't blame Zach Orr per se. I blame the whole defensive staff unit because collectively they should be in the room, heated discussions. Because listen, when I was in Pittsburgh, I remember Dick LeBeau and Dom Capers and Bill Cowher and all them guys, they used to have heated discussions, turning over chairs discussions about how the game plan was going to be called. And each week we came up with really good game plans under the 5 years that I played under under Bill and Dom Capers and Dick LeBeau. And so you can have, and then when I was in Baltimore, you can talk to Jack Del Rio and all those guys. They had heated discussions about what type of defenses you were going to call and what type of game plans we were going to have with Marvin Lewis. They had really heated discussions. And I think that's what you have to have as a coaching staff. And the players got to make the plays come alive at the end of the day. Whatever play you call, whatever defense you call, the players got to play inside of the system, but they got to go play football.
I also wonder, Rod, if, like the bringing in Alohi Gilman the way they did might be their way of attempting to replicate what Ardarius Washington did a year ago and how much of an impact he made and what it obviously allows you to do with Kyle Hamilton by having someone else that you can trust in that position.
Yeah, that's what they were trying to do. And then my other thing with that, I think, yes, they're trying to repeat that because obviously Ardarius Washington was a huge asset to him last year, right? He made so many, that big play, remember he had against the Steelers when Russell Wilson was going in and he knocked it out at the 4-yard line. So they're trying to duplicate that. But what I would say, I would even challenge the players. Are there players meeting on their own collectively? Because that's what we used to do. On Fridays, we would get the game plan. We would go in, we would meet, and we would, Ray would call the defense. We would make the checks, and then we'll go over the whole game, and we'll go over what type of routes they're running. We'll go over how we're going to play it with this defense. Give us another defense. Let's go over that one, how we're going to do it. Because at the end of the day, the players are on the field. So whatever that calls, is it going to be a perfect defense for that play? Maybe not. But at least you're going over it. And because what I've seen over the last several weeks, players out of position, not lined up right, prior to the ball being snapped, which puts you in a bad position once the ball is snapped. So, I think the onus also goes on the players taking the responsibility of doing their job the way they need to do it at the highest level.
I think the other side of the ball, Rod, one of the biggest questions that faces the Ravens, look, Lamar is going to change a lot of things as he returns, but the guard position, there's been a lot of questions, and I did think Andrew Voorhees was much better on Sunday, but there were still 4 significant offensive line penalties on a day where the Ravens ran for, they ran the ball as well as they had since week 1 in general.
Right.
But
right.
The Faalele, the questions there, like John Harbaugh alluded this week that maybe it is time to make some changes along the line. What do you make of it? Are those guys criticized too much, Voorhees and Faalele, or are you seeing some of the same struggles that a lot of us are seeing?
Well, I think overall there's been some struggles because we're not running the ball the way we did last year. Right. I mean, the historic year that we had last year, can you repeat that? I don't think you're going to repeat that. It's one of the best historically yardage years for any offense in the history of the NFL. Do you repeat that year in and year out? I don't think you will. There has been some struggles. Yes, there has been some struggles of moving the piles, getting the blocks that you want to get, the double teams that you want to see, the push that you want to see, the protection that you want to see. I think Lamar will help that. And, my only other thing is, personally, I would love to see Keaton Mitchell on the field just a little bit more.
Sure.
And I know Justice Hill deserves the reps that he's getting because he's done a great job when he's in there. But Keaton Mitchell just, to me, has that explosiveness where he can take a 5-yard run into a 50-yard run. Very similar to Derrick Henry, but just a little quicker. But Derrick is just way bigger, right? So I think it's a kind of like that thunder and lightning type of feel behind it. I would love to see somehow, some way, and I know it's hard for Todd Monken you got 60 snaps. How do you get everybody on the field? So I know that's one of the issues that you do have, especially when you have some dynamic players on the back end. How do you get them all on the field at the same time? But I would love to see this some way, some form, some fashion. They can get him some touches to kind of help the explosiveness of our offense. Because if you look last week, I mean, I think our longest pass was 14 yards, 18 yards, something like that.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to figure out how can you get that explosiveness back to the offense that you put those type of players on the field that can make those type of plays happen.
Obviously, there's some limited arm from both the quarterbacks they play that impacted that, and hopefully that also will change with Lamar Jackson being back. What about, as you bring that up, Rod, I can't help but wonder, I think one thing that leaves a lot of us sort of banging our head into the wall is why does Derrick Henry keep coming off the field in short yardage situations? And I get that Justice Hill is your pass blocker and you like what he does in pickups, but it just feels like taking away the threat of Derrick Henry. It seems kind of counterintuitive to why it is that you have Derrick Henry. Does that leave you scratching your head the way that it leaves a lot of us scratching our heads?
At times, yes, at times, it's just head scratching, because you're third and 2, and you can run the ball, but more than likely, if you watch a lot of the defenses that have played against the Ravens, when Derrick Henry's in there, they're stacking the box, right? So they're putting 8 in the box. Soon as Justice Hill comes in, it's a light box, because they're thinking they're gonna throw the football.
Yep.
And maybe that's the way that Todd Monken is looking at it. Like, every time we bring Justice in, it's a light box. We can run the football with Justice. We can get a first down because it's a lighter box. So I kind of get the idea behind it. But with that being said, Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry.
Yep.
All right, and you got to give him the touches. You got to give him the opportunity. And if you look at what they've been doing this year, not comparable to last year, this year, when the quarterback's under center, Derrick Henry's having more explosive runs than being in the shotgun. And then Derrick Henry sitting on the side of the quarterback instead of behind the quarterback. Maybe put him in pistol. I'm not really sure, but I'm just trying to figure out how to get that guy the ball where he's 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage and he can see the hole. Give him momentum, because you give him momentum, it's first and goal on the 2. I'm pretty sure he's going to get 2 yards, somewhere along the line.
Try to stop that freight train.
I would hope that would be the case, right? So I think the coaching staff, that's what they should do in the bye. Obviously, that's what they're going to be doing in the bye week. They're going to be looking at everything they've done well, everything they haven't done well, and hopefully, with that being said, they're going to bring out everything they've done well and put that to the forefront for the rest of this season.
How you spending your bye week, Rod Woodson?
I am relaxing a little bit, and then I going over to a little event during the weekend and spending some time with the fam.
Well, that seems wonderful. That's a wonderful way to spend a bye week. We look forward to hearing you back on BAL and 98 Rock the following Sunday as the Ravens take on the Bears. Always appreciate you taking the time for us, man. You're the best. Thank you, Rod. Really enjoyed it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Rod Woodson, Hall of Famer, part of the Ravens broadcast team. And yes, his point about Nnamdi Madubuike and the impact that has on these edge rushers, unquestionable. But you're not getting him back. So now what? And I think that's the issue that I've had. Yes, that matters. Now, he says that means it's got to come more from the middle of the field. And we did see that, obviously, right, with Teddy Buchanan getting the sack a little bit later on in the game. And maybe that will be more of the strategy moving forward. But got to do more. Got to do more somehow. And interesting to hear him say, like, I put the struggles also on Chuck Pagano and the role that he's supposed to be playing. And I hear you. I do. I hear you. But that does make me wonder if you have the right person in place as your defensive coordinator, if it requires having
a Dean Pease or a
yes,
Chuck Pagano at all times.
Correct. It's just I can't help but wonder that. Like, if in order for this guy to be able to do it,
is it as simple
is he
as
the wrong
like,
guy to be the defensive coordinator right now?
Dean Pease didn't want to be a full-time DC, or Pagano didn't want to be a full-time DC.
It might very well be
and
that.
They just want, and John's hoping that they can push.
Yes, I think that
Zach
absolutely
Moore.
has something to do with it. Dean Pease doesn't even really want to be around the football team. Like, he's not even in the building. Did it for a short time, and I think these guys at a certain age, that's what they're willing to do. And we've talked to Chuck a million times. Chuck had a really good life. And so I don't know that he wants the stress of being a defensive coordinator. He just might be at the place where he's like, I don't really want to do that. I'll be happy to be on the staff and hang out, but I don't really want to be the one calling the plays and all that. I don't know. All right, Mike Sando's about to join us from The Athletic. Today's show is also brought to you by – are you telling me to take a break? Is that what you're –
No, sorry.
Okay. I was trying to figure out what was going on over there.
My apologies.
All good, man. Today's show is also brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. It's bye week, so just hang out and watch football, right? Like, what else did you want to do? You got a day. Just enjoy all of the games. Steps away from the FanDuel Sportsbook. Enjoy delicious food, great drink specials, and a game day atmosphere that, frankly, is unmatched. Inside Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Are we waiting? I don't know what's going on.
We've got 5 minutes here, or 7 minutes.
I thought it was 11:50. All right, my fault.
My fault too, then, I guess. I don't know.
My fault. Well, you might have told me the right thing.
I probably did.
You probably did, but then when I said, are we supposed to be taking a break, you should have said, yes, take a break.
Then we can take a break.
Right, I understand that, but now it's just awkward.
No, it's not. It's
uncomfortable.
It's awkward because you're making it
everybody.
awkward.
No, it's uncomfortable for everybody.
I'm not
now.
uncomfortable.
The Dodgers win Game 2 of the NLCS last night.
Gosh, imagine getting complete gamed
yeah.
by Yamamoto.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
God.
That loser. He couldn't even do that in Baltimore,
No,
right?
he couldn't.
Like, imagine. Yeah, they get one run. They get the
lead-off home run from Churio.
And that's it. And then Yamamoto just settles down, bears down. And so they not only are up 2-0 going back home, but they're up 2-0 going back home and have barely used their bullpen. One inning so far out of their bullpen.
Sasaki did have to throw 20 pitches, though, and then they had to go to Trine.
There's that.
But now they get to go Otani and Glass now and whatever they want.
Good luck, dog. This sucks. It sucks. I'm not even like a Brewers. This is the part is I'm faking it. Like, I have no emotions towards the Brewers whatsoever, but I just don't want it to be. It's just so soulless.
Alden, or is it Alden Gonzalez shared a stat. So the Dodgers' rotational ERA now through 8 games of at least through 8 postseason games has a 1.54 ERA. Only team with a better rotational ERA through at least 8 postseason games.
The 70 Orioles.
The 1983 Orioles.
Oh, okay.
Had a 1.31. Yeah, had a
Storm Davis, Scotty McGregor.
A 1.31 ERA. The 83 Orioles there at 1.54 the Dodgers right now.
Look, man, you take nothing away from them. They're all really good, and they're playing within the rules of baseball. It's just soulless. It sucks the life out of you that it's just the team that has all the money, that went and spent all the money, is just the team that appears as though it's going to win. It's just crushing, man. Like, it just takes all the joy out of, hey, watch the baseball playoffs. Something interesting could happen. Yeah, as long as you like the Dodgers. And look, man, I'm hopeful the Mariners are up for the challenge, and certainly their pitching has been outstanding in this series. So, not the Dodgers pitching, though. Not quite that good. Tonight, Game 3 of the ALCS. Now they shift to Seattle as the Blue Jays will try to keep their season alive and fight out of a 2-0 hole on the road. Mike Sando from The Athletic. I think it's the 5th time I've plugged him. Coming up, it's Glenn Clark Radio.
Most anticipated guest in show history.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack, Costas is your place to go. Check out the website CostasInn.com for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolko profiles Ravens running back Derrick Henry and how the football legend has proven to be a unicorn at the position with the success that he's found after the age of 30. Also inside, Brandon Schwartzberg looks at Kobe Mayo's push to find rhythm at the big league level. And we mark the start of the college football season by meeting players from all 4 FBS and FCS programs throughout the state. PressBox is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Game day hits different with Live Casino's Big Plays, Big Pays hot seats. Head to Sports and Social on select Sundays and Mondays in October. We'll draw 10 hot seat winners every hour. When the home team scores, we'll double the prize pool. Plus, we'll give away $50 Sports and Social gift cards with every touchdown. Watch and win at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program, and always enjoy our conversations with our next guest. Ironically, I wanted to react to something he had written a couple weeks ago about how the Ravens at 1-4, or I think they were 1-3 at the time, might actually be worse than we thought they were, and I think the last couple of weeks might have reminded us of exactly why that is. He, of course, covers the NFL for The Athletic. He is our friend Mike Sando, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Mike, it's Glenn. It's always good to see you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks.
Mike, I'm in a weird place where, like, even a Ravens defense that you would say looked a little bit better on Sunday against the Rams only gave up 17 points. I'm still not sold that they're turning the corner. I do think it was better for them to have Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton on the field, but I am terrified of a pass rush group that now loses Tavius Robinson on top of everything else and didn't generate a single pressure against Matt Stafford on Sunday and is not impactful at all. And I get it, like losing Nnamdi Madubuike probably hurt more than everybody realized that it did, but I just don't know how you can be a championship even if Lamar Jackson comes back and solves things and they get back into this conversation. How can you be the level of defense that you need to be with such a non-impactful edge rush department?
And then you think, hey, maybe they'll add somebody like Joe Ortiz just did. Oh, wait a minute. He got him from the Ravens.
Yeah, correct.
So I don't know what their level of desperation is going to be at the trade deadline, but a lot's riding on this season. The expectations, this year were so big. And I guess your best friend is AFC, where Buffalo the last couple of weeks I was looking at our projection models at the Athletic. Like it's 50-49, like Buffalo over New England in the AFC East, right? I mean, that's laughable when you think of where people thought Buffalo was. So everyone's got their issues, and I think for the Ravens, it's just a matter of, is 1-5 too big of a hole? I think if they can get back on track, I think we're giving them like a 24% chance of winning the division. The Steelers are 75% right now.
Okay.
If you could, I do think that Lamar is good enough that when he comes back, that you have a chance to get in the playoffs. So I think you're probably looking at being one of those teams that tries to get hot in the playoffs, as opposed to being that team that Baltimore's been recently, which is, hey, they got everything going. Right? You know what I mean? Where it's going to be less disappointing if they don't get to the Super Bowl this year, because I think it's just going to be lucky if they get into the playoffs, and they'll just be trying to get hot. That type of a team. That's what it feels like to me. And you're just hoping that the rest of the AFC has their own issues too.
Well, I'd ask that, right? Like, is that just what the rest of the AFC is going to be? And I do think that ultimately, Kansas City gets Rashee Rice back into the equation. Obviously looked very good on Sunday night. I still think they're likely to figure more things out, but they can't run the ball. I mean, like, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Is the reality that this is just what the AFC is, and it is just going to be who's hot in the playoffs?
Yeah, it could be. You would think, though, one of these teams would get it together enough to be the clear favorite by the time we get to the end of the year.
Okay.
The issue I have with the Chiefs is they're always waiting for Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice to be back, and then those guys don't just stack together like a whole season, right? It's a great chance that Xavier Worthy is as fast as he is, but also as kind of skinny he is. I mean, are they going to be able to count on him in December? Is Travis Kelce going to be hitting stride in December? Right? I think if I could be one of these teams, it would probably be them, Kansas City at this point. But it's a long year to go, and they've shown their vulnerabilities too, and the inability to stay on the field. Shoot, their left tackle didn't even play the other night for whatever reason. So I think everyone's feeling like, they're flawed. I just think the Ravens are probably the most, dispiriting start to me.
Yeah, I think that's fair, right? They're 1-5. You
Yeah.
can't get around.
Yeah,
that.
it's just, and I think the one thing I liked about the game against the Rams was, like, I could have easily seen it being 40-3 the way they've been playing lately. And I think a sign of most great coaches, like, don't have a 3-14 year or get blown out by a lot, so we've seen it a couple times. Like, Pete Carroll got outscored 40-0 over the second and third quarters by Indy. We've seen a couple of these things where they just got totally out of hand. So that's what I guess I'd kind of be looking for until they get their guys back, is can they just sort of stop the bleeding, so you feel like you don't get discouraged or you lose the guys type of a thing. And then what's their schedule? Do they have? Is it hard?
It's Chicago at home coming out of the bye, so that's you start to, and then the Dolphins on the road, and you're like, okay, yeah, you should be able to win that game. At Minnesota, which is tricky for sure. Then at the Browns, and then the Jet. Like, it does open the Bengals on Thanksgiving. Like, there is definitely a path moving forward. I think it's the 8th most difficult schedule in the NFL after the bye.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think the Ravens, just by the nature of how, they've been a pretty dominant team, and especially in the regular season in recent years, I think they've been great front runners. And I think that when they start playing downhill and Lamar's going and the defense is good enough in the run game, I mean, they just smash you. This is a different position for them to be in. This is a different position for Lamar to be in, right? Where it's a little bit discouraging and you got to ride through it. And then my concern for him is, hey, the hamstring, is it going to be 80% when he comes back? Is an 80% Lamar who can't get away? We know how frustrated he gets when people catch him, You can just see his body language. It's like deflating for him.
100%.
It's like deflating for him. And so that's a little bit of my worry, this front-running team with high expectations. Maybe Lamar has some other frustrations. We don't, it's been frustrating the end of the season, certainly last year. Does he, is he get discouraged during the year, especially if he's not 100%? Or is he going to be able to just kind of put him on his back anyway and, keep him alive and have a hope to be the hot team in the playoffs?
Mike Sando, The Athletic, with us here on GCR. Mike, a couple things Ravens related that I want to touch on. Go back to the AFC if I could. One, we think of you and the Cook Index, obviously, and the Ravens with Derrick Henry last year were cooking. Were almost unstoppable. And like the offensive line to me has been so porous this season that I again, to your point, if it's an 80% Lamar Jackson and that offensive line not able to get things going with the run, I do still think they might have limitations. That to me is as concerning almost as anything else is, can they play the brand of football they want to play, or is the offensive line going to prevent them from being able to do that?
So the reason I was looking up here, I was looking at a different screen to get the Cook Index going, which is basically how often you pass the ball on early downs before the 2-minute warning in the first half. The idea being that's kind of when you have a choice to be who you want to be. Are you going to run the ball? Are you going to pass? And last year, the Ravens were 29th on the Cook Index, meaning there were 28 teams that passed more frequently than they did. They're 30th this year, so they're trying to do the same thing. I think this year it's probably a little bit more of, certainly with Lamar out, you're doing it from a position of weakness, just to sort of like not have your quarterback have to throw too much.
Right.
And that may just be what they're kind of resigned to do. I just have been, the way Harbaugh has, some of the comments he's made, certainly about his offensive coordinator and things, just, I know he was frustrated a couple postseasons ago too, but it was just like, that was interesting to me.
Oh, it's very interesting. But it's also the question I've already asked, like, wait, aren't you the head coach? Why don't you step in the moment and say something?
Or say something. But to me, more than what it matters in the game is just like, what is going on behind the scenes? What pressures is Harbaugh himself feeling? What discussions are being had with the front office, with ownership? Are there differing opinions on what they should be doing? Because typically, that type of stuff you would keep in-house, and you especially a veteran coach like Harbaugh, he's been at the podium a million times, like you can control the message, So when you see what looks like a little bit of desperation or a little bit of cracking or whatever it is, I always wonder, like, what is really going on? Is it public messaging to try to get something done, or is it a sign that there's some turmoil there?
That's a fair question. You also brought up the trade deadline earlier. There's an opinion held by some that a team that's 1-5 shouldn't be looking to invest future draft capital into solving their problems. They should say, "Hey, look, man, this is." I don't think you have the luxury to do that. When you have Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, I think you have to treat every year until it's done. You have to give it that shot. I think some people's opinions are, well, maybe wait 2 more weeks, see if you win a couple games out of the bye, and then try to be more aggressive. But what would you be doing if you were Eric DeCosta with a 1-5 team?
Well, you have to know two things. One is, what is the reason we're 1-5? And it's clear that they've lost all their highest paid players, have been missing the games. It's like the 49ers are in that position now. They've lost Bosa. They've lost Kittle's barely coming back, and they lost Fred Warner. So to me, with their injuries, they're probably cooked a little bit. Now, with the Raven injuries, the second part is you just have to assess where's Lamar at. Because I think if Lamar Jackson is playing, then I would still be in the mode of, let's go. Are there a couple of these holes that we could possibly fill? You usually don't fix everything at the trade deadline. Howie Roseman gets a ton of credit for being so active at the trade deadline. But when you look at the players they really get, everyone's like, who's the safety they got from Tennessee a few years ago? How did they get him? And then he didn't do anything, So it's overrated fix for your team. Like, I don't think they're going to give up
Kevin
a one.
Byard. I don't know why I couldn't come up
Kevin Byard. Remember, how did you
Yep.
get Kevin Byard?
Yep.
And then, he never played good ball again, or whatever. That's typically what happens at the deadline. So I do think, though, sometimes just making a move, if you feel like your team needs a jolt, I think there's some conversation around Buffalo that way at 4-2. Do you make the type of move that people go, wow, okay, we're serious, we're in this, right? Do you need that? I think as a GM, you have to be measuring your locker room that way, and you certainly have to just know if Lamar's going to be okay, because if he's not, then I think you're fooling yourself by making a move. But if you think he's going to be okay, I think maybe you do send a message to your locker room and, hey, guys, we're serious, are you?
But I guess the other part of it, too, is if you say, well, you need to go get an edge rusher, who's the impact edge rusher that's actually going to be available? Because, like, everybody wants to believe Max Crosby can be had, but Max Crosby hasn't been traded yet, and I don't see it happening. So
yeah, exactly. So now you're in the situation of, hey, who do we think our staff can plug in and make him better than he's been somewhere else?
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother question. Because even like the Chiefs made a trade for a pass rusher last year, and you think, oh, Spagnuolo, they got the guy from New England.
Yeah,
Josh,
the guy that had 10 sacks the year before, right?
Yeah, it was whatever, and it's like he didn't do anything, even for Spags. Yeah,
right.
Uche, so Spags. So, at this point, are they going to be like, hey, we feel like we can implement a guy, and we're going to get 50% more out of him than what he's getting somewhere else. There's not necessarily a Von Miller out there every year to get, who's on that team that, is in a rebuild mode. I don't necessarily see, Miami is desperate. They're holding on. Are they going to move an edge rusher when they can't rush the passer?
I mean, the Giants, all of a sudden, everybody was convinced the Giants is where you're going to go to get your edge rusher, but all of a sudden they look like they're going to be competitive maybe in the NFC. So
well, and that staff and GM are trying to save their jobs too. So can they really afford to, lose 2 more games than they would otherwise lose? I don't know.
I don't know either. Who is legit of maybe the surprise AFC teams? Mike, the Colts obviously are the team that's sitting at 5-1, the only one that's 5-1. Do you buy into that? Like we're all very dismissive of the Steelers. Not to say that they don't deserve to be 4-1, but their schedule is going to get more difficult. The Ravens do have 2 games against them, and I just don't know what they do very well other than they've figured out how to win 4 of their first 5 games. Who of that group is legit to you?
I think the Colts are legit because now legit. Are they going to go to the Super Bowl? I don't. I think their quarterback will betray them before they get there. But I do think that they were an 8-9 team with a 47% passer last year. Yeah. So I think you see their formula that they have. They have a really good running back. I think their defense is better. Their offensive line's pretty good, and they just have a quarterback who's good enough. I think that they can win that division. I think they can be a double-digit win team, but the Steelers probably will be too. I don't necessarily see those teams in the championship game, right, or to that level. I still think that's going to be one of those teams with the MVP caliber type quarterback.
What is it that the Steelers do well? Is there something that I'm missing when I watch other than just, hey, see if DK Metcalf's open and throw the ball his way if he is?
Yeah. So the one thing that Aaron Rodgers can do a pretty great job of is just kind of managing the game. I think he's really good. Like the extreme opposite would be the Jets last week with Justin Fields. They can't even function at the end of the half.
Right.
I think Rodgers can handle all of that game management type of stuff and when to call the timeouts, when to go fast, when to go slow. I think that's been something they've really missed there. I think since Ben Roethlisberger's left, they've tried to go with guys who don't have any of that. Even Russell Wilson at his best was not as in charge of everything. So I think that does give them something that can help them maybe at end of game situations, maybe not lose some of the games they've lost in recent years. But I have the same questions about Rodgers at his age late in the year. I think he's taken some hits already. And I'll believe it kind of when I see it. They may win this division by default as much as anything.
What about the Patriots and Broncos, the 2 second-year quarterbacks? Are either of them viable candidates to win the AFC?
I don't think so, but I mean, I really haven't been impressed. Denver's kind of Bo Nix has not impressed me much this year. The whole thing has been kind of weird. Now, that was the case last year, too, early, so maybe they'll get it going, but I've been a little disappointed. I think Drake May's surprised me in a positive way. I think he's playing really well, and I mentioned our projection model before has them as a 49% chance to win the East. Can you believe that?
Well, I mean, I get it. They won on the road, right? Like, they've got the upper hand if you assume they beat the Bills.
And the quarterback looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the quarterback looks good. So I still have questions about their roster, but sometimes you get a little bit of belief, and I think they have a good coach. So I still just don't see them beating a Mahomes team in the playoffs or that that sort of a thing. I just need to see more.
I get it. Mike Sando, what can we plug for you, sir?
Well, pretty cool thing coming out tomorrow in The Athletic. Kind of a shifting into some video production on a little bit of storytelling. So it'll be something to do with quarterbacks, and it was something actually we got into last year with Lamar Jackson when he was winning in the absence of his defense and his special teams playing well. So this one's not Lamar centered, but it's pretty interesting. I'm really excited with our video production people. They're really making some things come to life. So that's going to be a little bit of a new dimension for me, getting some stuff out there that's got some good visuals and, it's really what people like to consume now.
That's where the world is, man. That's where it is. Short form video, and the rest of us are just sitting here saying, hey, listen, or read us, please. Please, still like what we do? Come to Blockbuster, rent our videos. It's fun. We like to do it when we were kids.
That's funny.
At Sando NFL, of course, is how you follow him. Mike, always appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mike Sando from The Athletic with us here on GCR. I mean, he's right. That's why we're trying to do more on TikTok. We're trying to remember to put some stuff out. We got to remember to put it on Reels too. Like, we're just not. We gotta remember to do all of that. It's just 800 other things that we got to remember to do. So it makes it difficult. What he's saying to the point, like, if the Ravens know today, I've heard a lot of people say, don't make any decisions about the deadline until, you see how Lamar, if they know today, Lamar, like, if this is one of those things where, like, we think he could have played last Sunday, we all agreed, we got the bye, we're going to do everything after the bye, right? And they know he's good, then I think you can be aggressive now. If there are any questions about that, like, to Mike Sando's point, then that maybe does influence Eric DeCosta's thinking. And maybe as an organization, they get together and they say, we're not sure. The way that John Harbaugh said it after the game, it sounds like someone who's sure, who knows. We're getting Lamar Jackson back. And so that's how the rest of us are operating. But if there is any doubt about that, or what he's going to look like, or if he's going to be limited or anything along those lines, then, yeah, maybe you do. Wait, you have until November 4th. You don't have to make trades.
The other thing that's tough is
now.
I feel like Jalen Phillips makes the most sense. Like, it's the most affordable, and the Dolphins stink, and they're one game away from firing their head coach as well. But the problem is they play the Dolphins that Thursday right before the trade deadline, so that's going to have to be a last minute deal anyway. Because the Dolphins wouldn't trade.
They wouldn't want to. I agree with that. Or you'd have to pay
after that game.
You'd have to pay a premium in order to do it, and you don't really want to have to do that for Jalen Phillips, who again has been good in the past, but hasn't been terribly impactful this season. But that's what you're dealing with. That's what's available. To Mike Sando's point, if you think that Kayvon Thibodeau has been the answer all along, well,
go break the bank for it.
What I'm saying is now all of a sudden the Giants, even if you say they have too many edge rushers, well, okay, but they want to win. Brian Dable wants to keep his job. And so...
Well, they can have Cam Scatterbo probably rush the passer.
You just think that's just let him play both sides of the ball. Did you see the story of what the Colts did with one of their wide receivers where they had... Like, he hadn't really been playing. His name's Ashton Doolin. He hadn't really been playing this season. So they basically had him work all week as, like, a Kyler Murray spy in practice. And then they put him on the field, even though Kyler Murray wasn't playing. They put him on the field as a defensive player on Sunday. And I can't remember exactly what
I did not see that.
I think Mike Sando might have written about it,
really?
actually. That might have been where I learned about it. Hang on a second. Let's see if we can find this. Ashton Doolin.
Ashton Doolin's been up to. I know he hasn't done much.
Colts head coach Shane Steichen played a clip. This is from the Indy Star. Played a clip of Patriots wide receiver Troy Brown at the team meeting last Wednesday. The room was probably surprised. New England stars aren't often shown in an Indianapolis film room, but there was Brown shifting over to the defensive side of the ball, making interceptions for the Patriots. Then I threw Ashton Doolin's picture up there and said, "You're playing defense this week, dude," Steichen said. The guys were all fired up. Indianapolis defense coordinator Lou Anarumo came up with the idea while preparing his defense to face speedy Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. So Ashton Doolin apparently has been a special teams guy. And
so this is apparently one of the plays that he rushed on. He's number 16, I believe. I don't know. I don't know what side of the field he's on. I don't see him. Is that him on the right?
It's hard to tell with the shadows.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that is him on the right. He, was...
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. He starts on the right side, on 76, and I think he, runs. He, loops around. Yeah.
Interesting, right?
It's picked up by DeMarcado. Or, no. Is that DeMarcado? Yeah, that's DeMarcado.
It's interesting. Fascinating stuff.
So you're saying put Tez Walker?
Yes, that's my my strategy moving forward. That's how you're going to rush the passer now. Tez
Walker, Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, all of them.
Your
frankly, I would just say they're all two-way players moving forward.
Mark Andrews, get it out there.
Every single one of them. All right. Quickly, by the way, apologies because I know John Little Rock has been checking in this morning on YouTube. First of all, as always, thank you, John Little Rock. Good to hear from you. John says the eggnog at Highs is elite. Do not disagree with you. Do not at all. Eggnog at Highs. And I'm not an eggnog guy. But around the holidays, I've been a man who wanted to have eggnog at parties. And the eggnog at Highs, thumbs up. But I do not care for it in general. And also says, love you, Dodger. What? Why are you rooting for the Dodgers, John?
Well, they got that guy.
Is the Arkansas team a Dodgers affiliate? It's not a Dodgers affiliate. Like Oklahoma is, right? Oklahoma City is the Dodgers. What are the Dodgers minor league affiliates? Dodgers minor league teams are
OKC.
Yeah, the OKC and Tulsa, both the Oklahoma teams, the Great Lakes, Rancho Cucamonga, and Ontario. So why do you have a soft place in your heart for the Dodgers?
Well, they got the guy that's the best at the sport.
I understand that, but that doesn't mean you is that how you choose who you're rooting for?
I mean, when you don't have a team, maybe, yeah.
Well, we do have a team.
Well, yeah, but they're not trying though.
It's a very weird bit, man.
Arkansas Travelers.
This is to me like rooting for it's the Yankees with more avocado. Like it's just the West Coast Yankees. I get it.
Northwest Arkansas Naturals are with the Royals.
Okay. What about the Arkansas Travelers? Who are they with?
They're with, I don't know. Are they independent?
I don't know.
Maybe they're
I don't
independent.
pay attention to this stuff the way that you do.
Oh, Seattle. Arkansas Travelers are Seattle.
Well, I would think that you'd be rooting for the Mariners.
Well, he did say ultimately go Mariners.
All right, thank God. Thank God. But why would you root for the Dodgers against the Brewers? One's a smaller market
Well, because
team.
it would encourage,
one of them has a
manager
manager who pulls pancakes out of his pocket and eats them during the games.
And offers it to the
yes, and apparently he does it with other snack foods too. I knew Pat Murphy a fair amount when he was at Arizona State. Really like Pat Murphy. And it's interesting reading more about him.
He was coaching at Arizona?
Yeah, he was the baseball coach at Arizona State. It's interesting reading a little bit more about him, and I did not know that he could be pretty degrading. He had a thing where he had nicknames for everybody, and some of them were genuinely quite degrading. So he's tried to change that a little bit, and he's kind of evolved as a manager. Yeah.
What was his nickname for you then when you were covering
I did not. We weren't covering them on a day-to-day basis. It was they were good. They were really good, so we would have him on, but we didn't cover him day-to-day. So I wasn't around him enough that he had a nickname for me that I know of. Said, I don't root for the Dodgers. Oh, just like the saying.
I mean, they do have one of the best stadiums.
It's like me. I wear that Orioles hat because I just like the duck.
I like the funny duck.
Just like the duck. That's the reason why.
Which is a good reason.
It's my favorite. It'd be my favorite piece of internet of all time. I just like the duck. It's so wonderful. I do need to say I spent some time last night with the John Candy documentary. You better prepare yourself. It's tremendous. There's things I could have asked for a little bit more of, they actually had a scene, an outtake, a Home Alone outtake that I'd never seen before that was wonderful. I could have used more stories from the filming of some of the movies. They did a lot with Uncle Buck, but they didn't do as much with The Great Outdoors, and that disappointed me, right? They really didn't tell any stories related to The Great Outdoors, despite the fact that Dan Aykroyd was a central figure in the documentary. But you're not ready. It wrecked me. I was wailing at one point. It wrecked me. A really well-made film, Colin Hanks, with help, obviously, from Ryan Reynolds. I guess there's some funny stories that have come out because Ryan Reynolds has been doing all the press for it. I don't know why Colin Hanks has been so.
He directed, I thought.
Yeah, but why has he not been the one doing?
Oh, why is he
like,
not
he
doing
hasn't really
press?
done much media
Well,
for
'cause
it.
Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
I guess it's weird.
When
like-
Deadpool tells me to do something, I do it.
Yeah, but he's Colin Hanks. Like, it's not like he's nobody. It's not like they had Joe
yeah, but if
Jameson.
he walked in, it'd take me a second to be like,
Oh, not I. That's because you didn't watch Orange County.
Yeah.
You don't understand. The Orange County is one of the greatest films ever made.
okay.
So
Ryan Reynolds walks in, I know.
Yeah, that's
I know
fine.
I know who that is.
But some stories that have come out, like apparently Dan Aykroyd really didn't want to do it. Like, just likes kind of being off the grid. Doesn't like he didn't go to the SNL 50 thing last year. He just sort of likes doing his own thing, which is weird because I remember a couple years ago Dan Aykroyd was doing like a signing at some liquor store in like York, like he had maybe a wine
He
or
was
a
a favor to somebody then, right?
And I was like, there was the York.
Where's he from?
I don't know where he's from. He's Canadian.
Oh,
I
he's
think. Yeah,
Canadian.
he's
Okay.
Canadian. Yeah, he's definitely.
Well, everyone
Canadian.
knows that everyone relocates to York, PA.
Well, I don't think he was living there. I think it was related to he had a liquor or he had a wine that was his line, and so he was just doing some tour related to that. But I just remember the only reason I knew about it was because the York radio station that plays Christmas music flips before anybody else does. Like they flip in like October when I'm ready for them to flip. And so I was listening to that day, and they were like, "And don't forget today at 3 o'clock."
Shots at 101.9 right now?
They just think they could flip a little bit earlier. That's all I'm saying. I don't know why they wait. With all due respect, Greg, you know I love you. Gina,
What is it? The
love you.
Friday before Thanksgiving? Is that? What
I think
it
that's
is?
when it is. The week
Yeah.
before Thanksgiving is when they flip. They could flip on November 1st. That would be good for everybody involved. I might miss them playing Desert Rose by Sting, maybe one day if they
I mean,
flip to
maybe that's my
Christmas.
first introduction to that song. You never
Is that
know.
what it is?
Yeah, when I'm looking
You don't
for-
know Desert Rose by Sting? I dream of red LA. That song was a jam.
Probably.
That song
Sting
kicks
was on
ass.
Phineas and Ferb one time. So
What's that?
Sting was on Phineas and Ferb one time. That's how I learned about him.
I hate that's what you know about Sting. That really bothers me a great deal.
It was a great episode.
Plus, he tag teamed with Darby Allin in AEW, so you got that.
Did it?
going.
Oh wait, it's
different
Stings.
guy. Steve
Okay.
Borden Sting, different guy.
I definitely did double take sometimes when
Yeah.
Sting pops off.
Look, if you haven't watched it yet, you need to, but just be prepared. It is going to wreck you. I mean, wreck you. And from start to finish, wreck you. Because I didn't know a lot about John Candy's background and some of the tragedy that he had dealt with in his own life. And so it like literally opens, the open of the documentary is Dan Aykroyd's eulogy from his funeral. Oh, God. And then Catherine O'Hara's eulogy. Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. Incredible. I still don't know why they didn't put it out around one of the holidays, because it definitely seems like something that you'd want to watch with your family. But
is it because they knew it was
it's
gonna be so
so
like,
emotionally
heavy?
draining?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it
not
is
like-
emotionally draining, man. Like it is draining, but definitely worth the time. Definitely worth the time. All right, it just makes me want to watch Great Outdoors all over again. Spaceball. I'm gonna go home and watch Spaceballs tonight or something like that. All right, let's get a
Home
tidbit.
Alone, yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to watching Home Alone anytime. That was always my Thanksgiving night tradition, was to get together. Before they played NFL games at night on Thanksgiving, when I swear to God, when we were young,
It
they
used to be just 1 and
well,
or
they
12
used
and 4.
after when I was a kid, and at first, like it was a big deal. The first year, like NBC, it became like a tradition that NBC aired Home Alone every year on Thanksgiving night, and so you'd watch football games, and then you'd watch Home Alone Thanksgiving night. It was perfect, and then. As everybody started having, like, DVDs became more prevalent, home movies, things like home video, and then streaming, obviously, they just sort of ended every tradition related to that, and then the NFL took over Thanksgiving night as well by starting to play a game on Thanksgiving night. So it's been a long time, but in my 20s, we definitely, I remember my roommate and I would have everybody come over, after everybody did all their Thanksgiving stuff, they'd come over for pie, wine, and we'd watch Home Alone. And then they'd all go shopping, I'd go to bed. Like they would literally go right from Home Alone to Black Friday shopping, and I would go to sleep. That would be the way they would go. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills, Frederick, and Columbia. I keep telling you, they've improved my life.
Did we want to play Would You Rather?
Hang on.
Okay.
Game Day Men's Health. If you are just feeling sluggish, run down, you become a man of a certain age. And you're just confused as to why you don't feel the way that you did. And, like, yeah, the dumb guy thing to say is because you're a certain age. But it's jarring. And so you might be low T, genuinely. And you can get a complimentary testosterone test from Game Day Men's Health. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. You can go about it that way. You also might not be. I wasn't. But yet I still felt the way that I felt. So what do you do? Well, for me, it was peptide treatment, and it's been phenomenal. For you, just talk to him. Find out. See what's going on. And you might be dealing with performance issues in the bedroom. You might be dealing with, stubborn belly fat that just won't come off. There's all sorts of stuff that men have going on, and they're here to help. Game Day Men's Health. 443-264-4454 in Owings Mills. 443-266-3505 in Columbia. 240-931-3717 in Frederick. Go ahead and do tidbit. We'll talk about it.
Okay, got it. Where do I want to go tidbit-wise? So the Gold Glove finalists were revealed. I feel like, did we do that last year?
No Orioles.
No Orioles. Did we do that last year where I had you guess all the Gold Glove finalists? Or I made you guess the winners. Is that what it was? All right, so maybe I won't have you guess.
This is not going to go well.
Oh, it could. You never know. Good stat yesterday. So Churio, even though the Brewers lost, Jackson Churio became the 6th player in MLB history to have at least 4 career postseason home runs through his age 21 season. So before turning 22, he has 4 postseason home runs already. He joins a list of 6 others. So 5 others on this list. Can you name the youngsters with 4 postseason home runs?
I'll just
21
say
and younger.
Andrew Jones, because I know he hit some.
Nailed it. Andrew Jones. Yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
There's 5 others.
Yeah.
Or 6 total here.
Manny Ramirez.
Not Manny Ramirez.
How about Ken Griffey Jr. didn't really make the playoffs at that point. Juan Soto.
Juan Soto, yes, is on the list because he started playing in the playoffs when he was 19.
Yeah. And same for Andrew Jones.
So we're told, at least.
How about Bryce Harper?
Andrew Jones. Yes, Bryce Harper.
Okay.
Yes. Andrew Jones was on those Braves teams.
Yes. Not he wasn't on the 92, 93
Gotcha.
Braves teams or like
the late 90s.
He was in, yes.
Okay.
I think his was remember we referenced the 96 World Series? I believe that was when he broke out. And of course they ended up losing the World Series.
They were also, that 96 Braves team was also listed on the pitching, the great rotations.
Playoff sure.
Rotation.
Maddox, Glavine,
1.59 ERA
yeah,
was the 96 Braves.
I don't know who else would be on this list, so guide me.
You got Soto, Churio, Harper, Jones. One guy, let's see, he won the World Series in the mid-2000s.
Swell. That's very helpful. Thank you for that.
Was it 05? I think it was 05.
2005. Who the F won the World Series?
03. 03.
Well, 3 was the Marlins. So it's either Hanley Ramirez, Miguel Cabrera.
Miguel Cabrera. 4 postseason home runs before 22, and then we got to go a little bit of a ways back here for the first guy on this list. Too far back.
Joe DiMaggio.
About around that, yeah.
Mickey Mantle.
Churio, Soto, Cabrera, Harper, Andrew Jones, Mickey Mantle.
How about it? Yeah, Drew wasn't here, so we didn't really do Would You Rather Wednesday. It's all Ravens related. I don't really want to spend a ton of time on it.
Because I'm going to win.
No, you can't win.
Well, I mean, I picked.
Somebody can win that participates.
I picked the right answer though, and then you try to,
would you rather? You got to bet $5,000 on the Colts.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Drew. On the Colts to win the Super Bowl at plus 1,800, or on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl at plus 2,200.
I wish the odds were more.
Got to go one way or the other.
Daniel Jones winning the Super Bowl.
Come on,
beating some series of Lamar, Allen, and Mahomes.
No, if Lamar gets there, they're 1-5.
Well, that's what I mean. 2. You would assume at least 2.
Make a pick.
Allen, Lamar,
and
then also having to beat Baker in the Super Bowl.
Right, that's a great point. It's obvious to get there.
Ravens, yeah.
Okay. They make a coaching change. They fire Zach Orr, replace him with Chuck Pagano, or fire George Warhop, and Marshall Yonda comes back to be the offensive line
Just because
coach.
that'd be fun, yeah.
All right. And number 3, would you rather they make one lower key trade before they play their next game? It's acquiring an edge rusher, Malcolm Kuntz from the Raiders, or bringing back Kevin Zeitler.
I'll take Kevin Zeitler.
See, I was afraid that, like, I think most people would say go get an edge rusher, but
Boom,
I think
we're bringing
the fact,
Yonda, we're bringing
I think
Zeitler
the fact
back.
that it's if I had replaced Zeitler with any other guard, like a guard that was playing better, I feel like everybody would have gone with the edge rusher.
Some guy that no one's ever heard of.
I just think it's because everybody knows who Zeitler is. It's been
whoever's playing right guard.
It's
for
been
the
like
Lions right now,
90-10 in favor of Zeitler because of that. Get your responses in at Glenn Clark Radio, Twitter, Blue Sky, or Facebook. Somebody is winning a Flock Yeah T-shirt from PressBox. And don't forget, no Project Game Day this week, obviously because of the bye, but we will be back for Project Game Day 1 week from Sunday, immediately following Ravens-Bears. PressBoxOnline.com/Game Day. Myself, Rita, former Ravens linebacker Tyus Bowser, KZ, perhaps the return of Andrew Stecca. It was good to have Griffin back this week. Who knows? I don't know that Josh is going to join us until things get better. We text on game days. We spend some time. Josh is busy working, and I think for his mental health, he just can't. Love you, buddy. You know that.
It's not dedicated.
Oh, I've noticed he hasn't been texting me as much about the shows. Like,
okay.
This is what I tell people all the time. I bet you like it when the team's bad. No, we don't. Not good for anybody. Nobody is excited to tune in, hear about how the team's bad. Not something they want to do. Anyway, yeah, Project Game Day, PressBoxOnline.com/Game Day. It's all brought to you by Game Day Men's Health, 1-800-GAMBLER, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, as well as the Costas Inn and Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Tubular brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. Stan, Ross, and Luke every Monday talking baseball. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. It's all brought to you by the Costas Inn and the all-new Costas Inn, now open at the Grandstand in Timonium. Game 3 of the ALCS, 8:08 on FS1, Blue Jays and Mariners. Shane Bieber, George Kirby, the pitching matchup, and kind of must win for the Blue Jays at this point, as while it is...
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty must win. Obviously, it has happened before. It's not like it's a never has happened. It did happen, obviously, with the Red Sox and the Yankees, but it's still not much of a history of anybody coming back from down 3-0. And they didn't have to win Game 4 on the road in order to do it. So just keep that in mind. Nothing else really going on tonight. So, they're doing, Netflix is doing the Six Kings Slam. That's going on in Saudi Arabia. So I'm super fired up about that.
Nice.
They're also doing a wacky bit because it's not a real tennis tournament. It's an exhibition where they gave Novak Djokovic a bye, despite the fact
you're not allowed to do that in tennis?
Jannik Sinner has to play in the first round. Novak Djokovic got a bye.
Well, I mean, he's Novak.
Yeah. Carlos Alcaraz also got a bye.
In aggregate,
understandably
you would give him a bye.
so. They gave Novak Djokovic a bye.
You're trying to say Joker sucks?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's not one of the 2 best players in the world. It's 6 guys, and like somehow Stefanos Tsitsipas is one of them, even though he does kind of suck at this point. It's annoying.
Who are the 6? It's Carlos,
Joker, Sinner, Tsitsipas, Taylor Fritz.
Oh, so he's winning it.
I want to say
What can I get on Fritz right
Zverev.
now?
I want to say that's the other one. That would make sense that it was the other one. I'm not.
What can I get on Fritz winning a set right
Would
now?
you calm down? Get all worked up. Yeah, it's Zverev. Fritz is playing Zverev today, and Tsitsipas is playing Sinner. They're doing that on Netflix, and so God bless them.
Cool.
All right. All right. That's it sports-wise.
Not much else. Survivor, Abbott Elementary. Hulu has a Murdoch.
I did see that.
Series.
It's not a documentary. It's a scripted series.
Patricia Arquette is playing Maggie Murdoch, and Jason Clarke as well. Murdoch, Death in the Family on Hulu. So if anyone wants to see that, based on obviously the Murdoch Murders podcast and doc that they did, then that's it.
All right. Very good. That's what we got.
Watching ALCS tonight.
That's.
Oh wait, we got some midweek conference day. It's weekday Conference USA. Right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Who
all
is
right.
it? Is it Delaware? I think Delaware's tonight.
Delaware is involved. We're not doing this bit.
Oh, Wednesday night Delaware.
Thanks to Rod Woodson. Thanks to Mike Sando. We'll get that up in the greatest hits section of the
Anderson Cooper and Mason Thames will be on Colbert tonight.
tab at glennclarkradio.com. On the
Black
program
Phone 2.
tomorrow, the great Blake Horvath, Heisman frontrunner.
Ooh.
Should be, anyway.
He should be.
Blake Horvath, Navy quarterback.
Given that one to
after
Drew. Their
massive.
If Drew was in tomorrow, we could give it to Drew at the end of the show, and he would
still
say.
not know. Yep, he would say North Carolina, 100%. But yeah, he's going to join us tomorrow, and
we'll make picks.
Oh, good. Stuff and things on the program.
Best segment
tomorrow.
we do.
Is it? Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Game Day Men's Health, Live Casino and Hotel, CountySports.zone, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com, 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org, Nick's Fish House, the Costas Inn. And don't forget this new print issue of PressBox, now available at Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. If it's not at yours yet, it will be there shortly. We're getting it out over the course of the next day or two. Jim Smith, New Maryland Athletic Director, great cover story from Don Marcus. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go nobody. Duke sucks.